Good afternoon, everyone. So, guys, I want to use this video and focus on the United States and predominantly what Trump's going to do when he gets in office. So this video, we're going to cover the New Jersey drones. And I know I've done this before and I've done quite in-length videos on this. I just want to give a brief overview of what's happening with those New Jersey drones and how that leads towards a conflict with Iran. I also want to talk about what Sergei Lavrov has just said, about these peace negotiations, peace talks. And it seems like there's a certain demographic of people. In fact, by demographic, I mean people who would identify in the right of politics. These people, and I would be included in that, although I don't think that there's any likelihood of peace talks. That they all think that once Donald Trump, who's Donald Trump? These people who are on the right of politics, they think that once Donald Trump is inaugurated, he's going to wave some sort of magic wand and all of a sudden there's going to be world peace. We're all going to move into broad sunlit uplands, conquer space, colonies on the moon, colonies on Mars, and we're going to become a type 1 Kardashian civilization. Not going to happen, unfortunately. Now, in this video, I'm just going to go from some things that have been said recently that's starting to point to this direction. And this is not something I'm just jumping on at the moment because I start to see these things. If you go back through my videos, I've been saying this publicly now for well over a year. And in my private circles, we've been saying this for since 2022, I guess. So right now, all roads are leading to the United Kingdom taking the lead in NATO or the European army or whatever that is, fighting the Russians in Europe. And the Americans are going to have a war in the Middle East, and they are going to invade Iran circa March 2026. Now, that's the earliest it can happen. If you know weather cycles, logistics chains, that's kind of like the very earliest that can happen. And they can't really leave it later than that because of the election cycle. So March 2026 really is it's like make or break for the United States if they want to strike or go into Iran. So real quick then, I want to talk about the drones in New Jersey and tell you, and again, I know I've done this before, but I want to talk about why they are happening and why they are happening now. And also before Trump's inauguration on January the 20th, I will speculate now. In fact, I will predict now, before Trump's inauguration on January the 20th, the drones will just practically vanish. They'll be gone. Nobody will hear about them. Nobody will see them anymore. It'll just be gone, over, finished. And this is the reason why. So the reason why New Jersey is because of that, the blue stuff to the west, west. The blue stuff to the east of New Jersey that's like wet and you can swim in it, called water. It's all about that patch of water. So here you've got, we've got Iran here. So this is Iran. When I zoom in, that Iran will go. So right here, again, I've done this in previous videos, but I just think I need to explain it quickly now. So any invasion of Iran will have to come from the sea. There's no way realistically that the United States, attacking Iran you can't get them there from Pakistan, Afghanistan. You certainly can't get there from Iraq. And the amount of troops you would need to take Iran is huge. So that means the amount of logistics you need is huge. And the only the only country with that logistical capacity is the United States. And this has to come from the sea. There isn't any other option. It has to come from the sea. So for this to happen, you're looking at this south coast of Iran here, some sort of, wherever they're going to make their beachhead, it's going to be here on this south coast. Now, your guess is as good as mine. Closer to the time, we can probably identify what it's going to be. But right now, I would suspect there are lots of US military focusing on this region of ground here from, I say this like straight bit here. That's where the invasion's got to come somewhere in this direction. And the further east, the better. So this could be it, maybe here, Passan Bandar. Sorry, that could be the region. And again, like I said, anybody's guess is as good as anybody's at this point. But before an invasion goes in there, they're going to have to conduct some sort of reconnaissance on these towns, on these cities that, you know, before the Americans go in. And remember, it's all about logistics. It's all about having that capacity to move masses and masses of troops, equipment, food, water, vehicles, munitions. And the United States are the only ones who can do that. So it makes no sense in them even having allies, because there's nothing really that an ally could contribute other than a political rubber stamp. So the United States are going to come up the Gulf of Oman, and that's where the invasion will come, on this south coast here. Now, like I keep saying, the drones will be used to go and do surveillance over whatever region it is they're going to strike. Now, if this was just to be done totally out the blue, you know, they would obviously blame the United States. They would say, America, we are getting loads of drones flying over our south coast. Stop it. You know, stop flying these drones. But because we've had this mass hysteria over New Jersey, where the United States are testing their equipment, the United States can hold their hands up and say, hey, Iran, it wasn't us. We had the same problem at the back end of 2024. It's not us. So that's why we're having these drones, and that's why they're going to use drones to do surveillance over here. Now, it's key that we understand where these drones are coming from, because there's been a lot of people in the media saying that these drones just come from the sea. And again, you know, the US military, are we really saying the US military don't know who these are and they can't stop them? It's absolutely absurd that this is happening. Now, if you backtrack through time, you start to see this pattern building up. You know, the Tic Tac UFO, you've got this David Grush guy talking about aliens. I think this could all be a big psyop leading towards this invasion of Iran, because they've already planted the seeds of this being something extraterrestrial. And, you know, I don't think it is. There's nothing I've seen that says it's extraterrestrial. I could be wrong, but, you know, there's nothing I've seen. So the seeds are already there. Now there's a mass hysteria in the United States and all over the world about these drones being UFOs or alien or some sort of interdimensional something. And it really has reached a critical mass now. And everybody's posting all this stuff online. So why are they coming from the sea? And more importantly, how? Well, like I say in all my videos, all right, everything is out there. Everything is available. You just need to know where to look. So let's share this one. So this is from Northrop Grumman. This is from their website. Uncrewed Manta Ray. This is their underwater drone. Uncrewed support for long duration undersea missions, going where humans can't. And we could put that synonymously there and say going where US Navy can't. Extending undersea excellence. Northrop Grumman has been pioneering capabilities in the undersea domain for more than 50 years. Now we are creating a new class of unmanned water vehicles with Manta Ray, taking its name from the massive winged fish Manta Ray, will operate long duration, long range missions in ocean environments where humans can't go. Now there's a little video. I'm just going to play like a couple of seconds of this video, but look how it's loitering just like on the cusp of the water break. I don't know what that thing's supposed to visualize. You know, I don't know what the thing's you know, supposed to. Oh, you can download the. I'll put the link in the description. Now, if I may, this thing is huge. You kind of can't conceptualize it because you're kind of looking at this and thinking it's like the size of a fixed wing UAV that would be, you know, like 4 foot wide or something, or the wings are maybe 4 foot. Or on my previous video, I looked at this video and there's I think it's a Ford Ranger behind it. This thing was in a dock. And there was a Ford Ranger behind it. Now, east to west or left to right, sorry, you could fit, I speculated using the Google Maps that you could fit 3 Ford Rangers with the noses here and the tailgates here. So left to right, you could fit 3 going back that way. So that's kind of like how big this thing is. It's pretty huge. Now, I would speculate that this top cover here, on some other pictures, there's some like rivets or something. But what I would speculate is this top cover opens up and a drone can fly out of that. So now you can think about how you can get these into the coastline of New Jersey. Maybe you've got 10, 15, 20 of these things. Again, I don't know. But you would have these things come up to New Jersey, then this thing would open up and the drones would fly out, conduct their mission, come back into there. Then this thing here, this whole thing then would sail under the, well, is it sailing under the water? Would navigate under the water back to the main submarine. The main submarine would then send technicians out. They would refurbish the drones, take off whatever passive sensor readings they need to do whatever they need to do to refurbish and refit these things, then send them out on another mission. Now, if we think about this invasion of Iran that needs to happen around about March 2026, this all makes perfect sense now, and all the information's out there. You just need to know where to look. So that's kind of, just a little, the direction of where we're going. And, there really isn't any hope for peace at the moment. So I want to come on to now what's been said on the Russian sphere. So the Russians, namely Sergei Lavrov, has come out and he's talked about a peace deal being absolutely ridiculous, and it is absolutely ridiculous. What's here? Hang on, is this? All right, so this is from 4 minutes ago. Reuters is reporting Azerbaijan has crashed into the Kazakhstan yesterday. Okay. Right, okay, so this is some breaking news. This was from, I'll probably do a video on this on its own. Yeah, I need to do a video on that on its own because that's, okay, but that's not what I was going to talk about. Okay, this is what I was going to talk about. So I'm on a live thing there, guys. I'll do a video about that later. So Lavrov, United States must make first move to restore dialogue. We've been reporting on Sergei Lavrov's comments as he spoke to the media this morning. So this was 1 hour ago. After telling the press that a truce with Ukraine would lead to nowhere. See our 852 post. He said the US had to make the first move if it's serious about improving relationships. President-elect Donald Trump, who will take office on the 20th of January, has talked up his ability to strike a deal and has consistently claimed he can quickly end the war in Ukraine. Sorry, guys, I shouldn't laugh because, it's just absurd that Donald Trump can end the war quickly, though he hasn't said how. And Russia's foreign minister has appeared to suggest Moscow would at least be willing to listen. So what he means there by any talk about a ceasefire or a truce in Ukraine will lead to nowhere. Now, he's right, because it will lead to nowhere, because it can never lead to anywhere until there's something geographical, unless there's a geographical feature on the ground that can be the border. It can be the new boundary. And the Russians know this. The Americans know this. I know this. You guys should be told this. And without anything on the ground, there can be no front line, and if there can be no ceasefire if there's no clear boundaries. And if you guys remember what happened, I don't know if you do or not, but back in 2014, or I can't remember the exact date, the Minsk II ceasefire peace agreement, whatever they call it, came into force, but that never held for a day, because there's too many units on different there's too many units, there's too much history now between these two conflicting sides. Neither side are going to agree to a peace deal. So let me just go quickly to the war map. Now, I've done the Ukrainian war map earlier on today, guys. I'm not going to do it again. I just want to show you what I mean by the front line. So you've got the front line, or the perceived front line, because, the Ukrainians are not holding it. And every day that, the Russians really are pushing through in all these locations. But you've got this perceived front line here. Now, this perceived front line, there's nothing there. It's just open fields and villages. Now, these open fields and villages, you can't form a defensive line behind nothing. You have to have something to form a defensive line behind. So at the very minimum, there can be nobody can even think about a peace negotiation or a ceasefire until either the Russians have left Ukraine, left all these regions of Ukraine and agreed to rebuild the towns and cities that they've destroyed, or the Russians managed to push up to the River Dnipro. Now, as we are right now, it's looking more and more, they are literally moving kilometers by kilometers every day towards this River Dnipro. Now, once Putin gets to the River Dnipro, he's going to want to take control of Kiev, Kremenchuk, Zaporizhia, and Dnipro. Now, Kiev is obviously the main city. It's the jewel in that region. It's the jewel of the, it's the jewel of Eastern Europe. It's absolutely beautiful city, beautiful architecture, beautiful people. It's just got a lot of soul. Now, they're going to want to take control of Kiev, obviously. The problem with Kiev is the lion's share of Kiev is on the other side of Dnipro. So you've got, I'm not going to go into it, but you've got all the main buildings on this side of the Dnipro. So to take control of Kiev, you have to go over the, over the Dnipro. Then we've got the town of Kremenchuk. Kremenchuk in the, I think, was it Kremenchuk? I'm pretty sure it was I think it is Kremenchuk. Kremenchuk, I believe, or I think it is Kremenchuk, has a huge argon. I think it's argon gas. They can produce a lot of these, a lot of gases for lasers. Now, why is that important? Well, that's important when we talk about producing microchips. I think it's Kremenchuk. I'm pretty sure it's Kremenchuk. Dnipro is a huge industrial base. There's a heavy industry there. Again, the problem with Dnipro is most of in fact, all of Dnipro is on the opposite side of the Dnipro. So to take control of Dnipro, Russia has to come over the River Dnipro. And then we've got Zaporizhia here. Zaporizhia, luckily for Putin, most of Zaporizhia is on the safe side for Putin, not the wrong side that he wants. Remember, nuclear power plants in Zaporizhia is what Putin wants to take control of. So that's why there can't be any realistic talk of peace talks, peace negotiations. It's really just like fake news at the moment, because everybody knows this. And if you are Vladimir Putin and let's just go back a couple of days, guys. Okay, let's just go back. I don't know. Why is this right? 19th. Let's just go back to the beginning of the month. Let's just go back to the beginning of the month. What are we there? 30. Right. So if we just look at this region, this is from the 1st of December, so like not a month ago. So if we skip forwards, you can see the amount of ground the Russians are taking every day. Why are the Russians going to come and why are the Russians going to move into peace negotiations and have a ceasefire and stop moving forwards when they're on the front foot? Literally, why would the Russians, when the Russians can take all of this, why would they settle for what they've got? Remember, Putin's in the perception of this conflict now from the Russian side is that the Russians are in conflict with NATO. The Russians know this. Look at the Minsk II agreement when I think it was the Germans again. The Germans can't hold their own water, can they? The Germans came out and said, we used the Minsk II agreement to retrain and rearm the Ukrainians. So, as far as the Russians are concerned, why would they why would they enter negotiations to another one of these peace deals when they know that historically these peace deals or these ceasefires have been used to rearm and retrain Ukraine? Why would they do that when they're on the front foot, when in a matter of time, they're going to have what they want anyway? Like I said, guys, there really isn't any chance of a peace deal in this region at all. What I see happening, and I'm not just saying these things off the cuff. I've been saying these for the longest time. Donald Trump will insert or he will propose some sort of peace deal. The Ukrainians won't go for it. The Russians won't go for it. And they won't go for it because of the geography. It's not that they don't want a ceasefire, and it's not that, you know, it's not that the Russians don't want to stop losing guys, and it's not that the Ukrainians don't want to stop losing guys. They physically can't, because there's nothing there on the ground, you know, so they can't go for it. I mean, what would a peace deal? I mean, a peace deal right now, what would that mean? Ukraine just gives over the ground, it's lost. That doesn't really sound like a peace deal. Like, think about that on as a microcosm. You know, somebody's taken your garden, and now they just have to have it because it's been too long, and it's just it doesn't make sense. So Ukrainians are not going to go for any proposed peace deal that the Russians are going to suggest. The Russians are not going to go for any proposed peace deal that the Ukrainians suggest, you know, because of the geography. So Donald Trump's going to come out and he's going to propose a deal, and he's going to say it's, you know, and he will say, I gave a deal. It was a great deal for the Ukrainians. It was a great deal for the Russians. But those guys don't want to have peace. So we're going to let them fight. We're not spending any more U.S. tax dollars on funding this war if they don't want to come to a peace deal. And it's going to be met with thunderous applause. All the Americans are going to, you know, they're going to be thinking, yeah, Trump doesn't want to spend our money on these, you know, on these overseas wars anymore. But remember, this is all smoke and mirrors, because Donald Trump is going to have his war with Iran, all right? And the United States can't, you know, break their, somebody in the United States military who said they can't break their spear in Europe when there's bigger fish to fry. So logistically, geographically, that's why there can't be a peace deal. And, you know, that's why the United States are going to stop funding this conflict in Ukraine. The European Union, the EU, whoever, they're going to have to put their big boy pants on. You know, they're going to have to start taking up the slack in Europe, because the United States are going to have their conflict with Iran that will start the earliest, and realistically the only time it can start is March 2026. Now, I've just shown you that all the information's out there, you know, and if we take these events that seem to be random all over the world, and when you look at these, if you put all wars right now are leading to a global conflict on an industrial scale hat on, and you look at that, you think, right, okay, it all makes sense. Like, it's fantastic how much media coverage these drone things are getting. I've done many videos and explained what these drones are. You know, I've just explained them again. It makes perfect sense now. And again, some people are saying, oh, the United States won't have a war with Iran. Yeah, they will. It's written into US law. House Resolution 559 passed on the 1st of November 2023. You know, it's all there written. It's literally written. It's passed now. It's US law. Anyway, guys, that was the gist of the video. I just wanted to show you guys how, you know, rhetoric's building up for peace talks, and everybody's starting to reject them. And again, I need to caveat this. If I was American and I was, you know, I could vote, I would have 100% voted for Donald Trump. But we need to be realistic, and we need to understand what's happening in the world, because people are lining up for a global conflict of an industrial scale. But then hopefully after the conflict, we will be able to go and conquer space finally. Anyway, guys, I'm going to back to grid, and I'll get you guys another video later.